All right, it just ticked over to 12:15, so we'll get started because we do have quite a lot to get through today. So welcome to the August Virtual User Group meeting, and we'll get started. Hopefully everyone's having a great week so far. So the agenda for today, we're going to do a quick virtual user group update, our plans for the future for it. We'll review the new education videos that are available on our education page. We are going to do a quick demo of our new project management software called Timelines. So I'll go through the a quick demo of Timelines and the basic functionality. We will be going through SSO availability and password self-service. So we do now have both of those available to use. As always, we'll go over our feature updates, and then we actually have 2 tips of the month this month, so we'll go over them as well. So in regards to the virtual user group update, we are planning on moving it to a quarterly meeting and increasing it from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. We've just found that 30 minutes isn't enough time to get through all of our new features and give it the time that we need to be able to review the new features and the functionality. We will continue not to focus on bug fixes. If there is a big bug fix, we will highlight it, but we do recommend that you read our monthly newsletters. If you're not subscribed to them, you can do it via our website, and every month we will add in all the bug fixes that have gone in for the past month. If it is a client reported bug, we generally try and get back to that specific client and let them know that their bug that they reported has been fixed. So you'll see meeting invite updates from Patty probably in the next few days, just to update the occurrence. In terms of the education videos, some of these we will be touching today, but they are now live up on our education video link. So we have our scheduler dashboard overview, which we will be going over today, linking issues, creating labels and tags, a new user setting overview because there's been a lot of updates for our user settings. And then the workflow overview has just been updated for the new functionality that we've added in the last couple of months. So in terms of the new features, as I mentioned earlier, we did go live with our project management tool inside of TransIT called Timelines. So it is a project management plan tool that you can collaborate and use with your teams. I've just added some information up there in terms of what you can and can't do in terms of the timelines. It is going to be similar to workflows. It's just a really good starting point, and then we will be getting feedback from everybody on what they think should be added, and then we'll obviously add to it as we did for workflows. So it's just a work in progress. But I will be going over timelines once we jump into TransIT. In terms of single sign-on, we have had a lot of requests for this functionality for TransIT. It is now available, so when you log in, you will see the single sign-on option at the bottom. If you're not set up and you want to get set up, just reach out to support and we can start the process of getting you activated and set up. It is an additional cost though as well. In terms of password self-service, this is another huge request that has come through from a lot of our clients. And again, we'll show you when we jump into TransIT, but basically it's like any other password, forgotten password. You just click your forgotten password, you type your email address into the enter your email address field. And then as long as you have an active account in TransIT, you'll get sent a link, and then you follow those instructions for the link. You just have to be mindful, most of those password link reset emails do have a time limit, and ours does as well. So in terms of updates since our last VUG, we've added steps left and total steps left for your entire test round on the home tile testing tile. In plans, we've added the ability to add custom bookmarks and filters. So this bookmark is similar to the one that you have on your issues dashboard page. So it shouldn't be new to everybody, but there is a couple of things we've added. So you can actually manage your bookmarks now and change them so you don't have to delete them and start again. Timelines, I know we've just gone live, but we've added a default calendar setting where it will display weekends, and the default day is 8 hours. In terms of scripts, we've added the ability to filter on your module column. We've added the right-click find and replace to your script steps page, so it's similar to the functionality we have on your scripts page where you can highlight a whole bunch of scripts, right-click and find and replace. It's very similar to what you can do inside a script now. We've added a toolbar search to find words in scripts. So you'll find that most pages now have that search toolbar to the right of the breadcrumbs. And we've also added back the position login information on your script steps page. Moving over to issues. So the issue dashboard page has undergone a lot of redesign and rework to be able to add the functionality that we have now. So you'll find that the test notes page and the issues dashboard page have been totally redesigned. So in terms of the issues dashboard page, we've added labels and tags to your new issue window. So instead of having to add them after you've logged your issue, you can actually add your labels and tags as you log your new issue. We've added the ability to include labels and tags for those bookmarks. So using that bookmark, the green icon, you can include labels and tags. We've added the pop-out window for issue severity, impact, and vendor and application. So what that means is you no longer have to click issue severity and then issue impact. You can click one and then update both at the same time. We've added an org setting icon for each field window. So each time you click on something inside your issue, you can actually, if you have rights, you can go to the org setting. So you don't have to actually go into your org setting building icon and then search for your org setting. You can do it straight from there. We've added the ability to follow issues. We've also added the ability to remove and add users to follow or unfollow an issue. We've added custom columns on the issue dashboard. Just a side note that we need the user preferences override the hide or unhide columns. So there might be some confusion when you're doing that. We've added test script and test step columns on the issue dashboard page. We've added the ability to sort on labels and tags. We've also added the ability to import issues from Excel. There's a big asterisk for this one. If you do import from Excel, it will override all of your data inside of TransIT. So if you've made changes in TransIT and Excel and you import your Excel issue file into TransIT, it will wipe all of your changes inside of TransIT. And then we've added the ability to click an image inside a comment box so that it enlarges so you don't have to zoom in. In terms of org settings, we've added the ability to view all history. So it used to be 90 days. You can actually click the icon now and you can view all the history. And we've also added a scheduler dashboard. So it's basically scheduling jobs that will automate email notifications. At the moment, it's just for plans, but obviously we intend to add more functionality for that. In terms of user settings, we've added the ability to restrict access to projects. So if, for example, if you and other admins are working on stuff for a project and you don't want anyone else to see it, you can now restrict that project to certain users and then obviously open it up to people that you want feedback from. And then in general, we've added an error message that's specific when you enter a blank username or password. And we've also added in a dark mode option. So if you're a dark mode fan, I am a dark mode fan, but for when I'm doing demos like this and things like that, I turn dark mode off. In terms of tip of the month, In terms of timelines, if you do have an MPP file format that you want to import into TransIT for your timelines, we just recommend that you do it before you start adding any rows and tasks to your timeline, just to be safe in terms of making sure that it doesn't corrupt your file that you're importing. And then the last tip is one that one of our clients used for, or is currently using for a round of testing, and that's that they wanted to have specific icons in their scripts so that when their testers were testing, they could actually see what icon they needed to click. Again, it takes a little bit of time to snip the actual icon and then add it as a header, but it would save your testers a lot of time if they're not sure on what icon to click. So again, we'll go over that once we jump into TransIT. Does anyone have any questions so far before we jump into TransIT?
No, but I just wanted to highlight one of the things on your slide, Trav. So when Travis is saying everyone can use timelines, that's exactly what he means. So one of the problems with some of the other systems out there is you have to license individual people, including your vendor people. So you often have in projects that the project manager has to update all the tasks for anybody helping you with the project, but it's the same as the rest of TransIT. You can have anybody working on the project set up in TransIT. So it's truly no additional cost. Thanks, Trav.
No worries. So in terms of the error message, if I don't have my email address or my user ID and password in here and I click sign in, it will now tell me a specific message at the bottom here. So if I type in my username and then click sign in, it'll say passwords required. If I do forget my password, you can see your forgot password here. You would then type in your email address and then send email. And then if you do have an active account in TransIT, then you'll get that email and you just follow those instructions to reset your password. And then we have our SSO sign on down the bottom here. So we'll go and log into TransIT. And you'll see starting out that we have timelines at the top here next to plans and workflows. So if I click into timelines, and I'll create a timeline by clicking the add project plan at the top right-hand corner, and we'll just give it a name. And then you have the ability to give a project manager. So we'll pick on Patty, and then we can change our start dates. So let's say it's a project plan for the future. We can actually change our dates. And let's say it's going to be for a couple of months. We can assign a category and a time zone, and we click save. And that'll bring us into our default template. To import an MPP file, you just click your three little dots here, import, and then we choose our file. And again, it needs to be an MPP file, and it tells you above the file. So we'll import one in. And depending on the file size, it might take a couple of seconds. If it's a fairly large file, it'll take 5 to 10 seconds. So just give it a little bit of time and it will eventually import in for you. And you'll see that it's imported the project plan that I had on file. In terms of project access, you click your three dots and then you have your project user access here. If you want to give access to people, then you can can slide users across. If we slide a user across, you have the option to make them a project manager. Where this is really important is that if you had a project plan that you are trying to design, you don't want anyone to see it, then you can just lock it down to yourself and then nobody else will see it. In terms of your icons available in the top right-hand corner, you've got your add task, which will add a task down to the bottom of the timeline. You have your zoom in and zoom out features here for your Gantt chart. You also have the ability to maximize your Gantt chart by using these arrows, and then you can minimize your Gantt chart. You also have the ability to pick the size that you want just by clicking and holding the side of the Gantt chart. So if you wanted to make it bigger or smaller, you can. And then you have the ability to do your zoom to fit. So if you wanted to zoom in and fit the screen, you can use that option there as well. Moving over to these options here, you have your outdent and indent options here. So if you highlight, a task, you can outdent and indent them in, and then it will give you some options here. And then you have your redo and undo icons here, and you have your collapse and expand. I tend to generally just use the arrows here, and you can expand and collapse down if you'd like. In terms of rearranging, very simple. You can click any task along here and just drag and drop, and it will replace everything for you. In terms of your right-click options, if you wanted to update your right-click options, just while it's saving for us, you have your edit, your copy and cut. You also have the ability to add tasks below or above. Milestones, you can create a subtask, and then you've got your successor and predecessor. In terms of bulk edit, you can now bulk edit any of your tasks inside your timeline. So this is our new bulk edit that's mostly across TransIT, that allows you not to have to go in and right-click and change all the time. You can do it all in one big hit. The other right-click options you have, this add task below from clipboard, is if you wanted to copy something from Excel, you can copy a few rows, and then it will add the task below from Excel. You also have the ability to log, link, and unlink issues. And again, you have your indent and outdent and your deleted. In terms of moving left to right, you have your name, your duration, your start and finish date, which are all customizable, and then your percent completed. You can assign resources to each task. So if we wanted to assign Patty, and we want to just assign her 50%, then we can assign Patty 50%. And then if we wanted to assign myself, we can then assign myself 50% here. And you'll see that if we expand the column, you've got Patty at 50% and myself at 50%. Moving across, we've got our predecessors and successors. If we wanted to add them in, you can double click, and the drop-down menu will then be able to link whatever task you have in your timeline. You can also filter, and then these boxes here will just be your start and finish time, so you can play around with them, and it will update accordingly. It will automatically link, so you can already see that you have some that are automatically linked here. And then you have your notes on your right-hand side. If you wanted to do, instead of inline editing, you can also right-click and edit, and it will bring up our edit screen over here, and you can go through and make your changes, and you've got the same options as you normally would have in your timelines. Did I miss anything, Patty, for a quick demo?
No, except you didn't take a breath, but aside from that, it was awesome.
Yeah. Beautiful. Question regarding password reset. How long does the email typically take? It should come through pretty quickly. Trying to test out. It should come through pretty quickly. Yeah. In terms of the home screen, the test round tile down here on the left, you've got total steps left here and then your steps left. So I'm not assigned to any positions in a test round. So if I was, then you would see that your steps left and then you've got your total steps left. Moving across to plans, you can see in the top right hand corner we've added a your bookmark that you can create, so we can manage our views. This is where we can add a new bookmark, we can edit or delete. So if you do have any bookmarks there and you wanted to add something in, rather than deleting it and then starting again, you would edit. So we'll go in and click a new and just call it bug. And then you can go down and you can click whichever one you would like. So let's click progress and labels. And then we can select whichever ones we want. So let's maybe click in progress. Actually, we'll do completed and we'll exclude, and then we'll leave labels as blank and we'll click save. And then what that will do is if I click this one here, it's going to exclude all the completed from my view. And if we wanted to manage that, we could just click our Manage Views, and then we can click Edit. And then again, we can go in and change our properties that we have for that bookmark as well. And that's the same on the issue dashboard page as well. In terms of scripts, you'll find that up here we have our toolbar, so you can search through and be able to filter through on certain words. If we go into a script, you can now filter on this module column over here. So if you're looking for something specific and you know the module name, you don't need to go through hundreds of lines. You can filter out for your modules. In terms of your right click and find and replace, you just highlight the steps. And let's say we wanted to change click to tap. We could just right click and find and replace. And let's say we wanted to change that, and we can preview, and it will give you a preview of the changes. It'll tell you the step number before and after. So then we can click save, and it will update everywhere where it said that it was going to update click to tap. And then we can go back and change it if we need to. And then the position login information, if you hover over your position, you now have the information there, so you can check if you have a login information for that position. So obviously we don't have one for the ambulance attendant, but we do for ED/RN, we do for a reg clerk as well. So you can go through and quickly identify which positions don't have login information. In terms of issues, you can now, when you add a new issue, you have your labels and tags here. So you can add them on your new issue, and then you have your go-to creation checkbox down here. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to highlight it because it's a neat way to be able to go into your issue after you create it. In terms of adding the bookmarks, you can click your manage views here, and it's the same as what we had before. You can now include your labels and tags down the bottom here. So if you wanted to add a bookmark for a certain label or tag, you can definitely do that now. We've added in test round and test script. So you've got test round and test script here. I have test scripts turned off, but we can obviously turn it on, and then you have your information for which test script that issue is associated with, and then you can filter or sort on that. You have your ability to filter and sort on labels and tags. So once you have them turned on, so let me turn them on for us, labels and tags. So you've got your filter and your sort on those columns. As I mentioned, I'm not going to do it now, but you can import your issues from Excel. So you just right-click your blue header here, and then you've got your import from Excel. Be very careful with it because, like I said, it will wipe all of your data in TransIT and replace it with the data you're importing. And then following an issue, you can do it a number of ways. So you can filter and sort your issues.
Travis.
Yep.
So when you upload, it won't replace the ones that are there. It's if you have ones that match, it'll replace the data.
Correct. Yeah. The follow, so you can highlight, you can filter and sort and highlight the issues you want to follow. You can right click and then follow and unfollow. If you're inside an issue, you've got your followers here, so you can add your followers, or let's say you wanted to add somebody that was important to this issue and wanted to give them updates, you can add them here. If you do make an update to an issue, you automatically get added as a follower. In terms of the issues and severities, you'll see that when you click on the severity field, you've got your severity impact here, and that's the same as vendor and application. So you no longer have to click one and then save, and then another and save. They go hand in hand. In terms of the org settings, you'll see that the vendor and application are, they've become highlighted. For me, I like opening in a new browser, so I'll just control left click and I'll open the vendor information from my org settings in a different tab. And that's the same for your severities and your statuses. You can go to your org settings straight away if you do have access. In terms of the comments, if we want to add in an image to our comment, we use our snippet tool and click save. we can go in and we can expand that so that we can actually see it. You can actually do it when you're inside the issue as well, or inside the comment as well. The view all history, if you click your org setting building icon and go to system logs, this icon up here will now show all your system logs. I believe it's 25 years, so it should show you all. If it's not clicked, the default is 90 days. If we go back to our org settings, we've got a new org setting called Scheduler Dashboard, and this is where you can create your email jobs. And at the moment, it's only for plans. So this is our dashboard. If we click across to the job tab, this will list all of the jobs if you have any that are set up, and then it'll give you some information here. And then this history tab will give you some information on if it was run successfully, how long it was run, or how long it took to run. So if we go back to our dashboard, if we wanted to create a new job, we can click the new job icon. The email notification is the only option at the moment. We can click next. We can type in our information. And then the only option we have is plans at the moment. We click next. We can schedule it for an actual job or an actual start and finish date. So we'll do it for the rest of August. We have our predetermined information here, so you can do daily, monthly, or weekly. And you'll see that this will update at the bottom here, and you can just update for whatever time and day you'd like, and weekly. The custom crones, we have our radio buttons down the bottom here. If this doesn't match, what you can do is, let's say you want it twice daily at 9 and 6 p.m., just click your radio button and then go in and change your, your 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock and 17 to 8 o'clock, and then click next. These are all your notification settings. So if you wanted to change them, they're all ticked by default. If you wanted to have a notification sent to a certain person to say that these emails were successfully sent out to these people, you can checkbox this one here, and then we can type in whoever you would like that email to go to, and we can click finish. And you can see here that we have a job here. It tells me when it's going to next be run, and then the information as well. So there's that one. And a couple other quick ones for us are when you go into org settings and projects, you have this user access here. So if you wanted to create a project that was restricted or sensitive information, we'll pick on temporary. We can go over here and we can filter and sort. And let's say we only wanted the 2 Brians to have access to this. Then we can select any users across, and that project will only show up for the users that are across on the right-hand side. We'll make both of these project managers, and you'll see here that it's only access to 2 users. And let's say we wanted to go and add more people in. We can go and add more people in. So let's say I wanted to add myself and Tamara. We can go and add 2 more people, and you'll see that this updates to 4 users. Second last thing, when we click our user settings icon in the top right-hand corner, you'll have dark mode here. So you select it. This is user specific. So if you have it and nobody else does, then you'll see the dark mode. And then the last thing that we'll need to show you is the tip of the month. So if we go into our script, and let's say we wanted to add an icon, we just use our snip tool, snip the icon, click our step that we want to add our header information on, square bracket, and you can name it whatever you'd like. We can go into our header, we can find the icon here. You want to checkbox the HTML and then double click on the value, and then we paste in our icon, and we can click save, and you can see there that it's now populated. We can click close and the icon will populate there. So let's say we wanted to add that down further. We can now click or type icon and it will add the icon there. So you can have multiple different icons inside of your script and you can add it to the action or the outcome. So I know we're at 12:45. Any questions? Did I miss anything in the chat? Looks like Patty and Brian were all over it. Any questions?
We'll need to troubleshoot with Brianne why hers isn't working for password reset.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the other thing I was going to point out was the hovering to get the username and password. I think the request, I know it came from Covenant, but I think it was actually from Beth to add it back in. And so rather than add the column, we decided to make it a hover so it would be less real estate. So we hope that meets your needs.
Who's going to reach out to Brianne and troubleshoot her issue with her password reset? Or did you want to stay on, Brianne, and we can go over it together?
Sure, yeah, I can stay on. Thank you.
No problems.
On the timelines, I saw that you imported an MPP file, but can you just build it in there?
You can. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you can. The only thing that we really highly recommend is if you do have a project plan you're import it in and then play around with it. But you can create your own project plan and then just add your tasks and then start from scratch, or you can import it in as well.
And the other thing, when you ask, so you can also, Christina, you can also, if you have things in an Excel file, activities already loaded, if you right click the task there, you can also cut and paste in from a clipboard. So say you had a whole bunch of tasks already created in Excel. We can't bring in an Excel file as we bring in an MPP, but you can cut and paste from your Excel and then use that add task below from clipboard.
Okay, if you have, for example, duration 1 day and then this is the predecessor to something else, does it automatically figure out that you can't start the next thing until the next day? Or
Yep.
It does? Perfect.
Yep.
What if I put like 3 days on there? Will it automatically calculate the finish date?
Yes.
Okay.
You can show that, Trav.
Yeah, I think we're almost 5 minutes over. So.
Oh, are we? Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Everyone have a great weekend, and just have a look out for Patty's new invite. I think the next meeting will be November, and I'm happy to stay on, Brianne, and try and troubleshoot your issue.
Yeah, maybe if Owen can stay on too.
Thanks, Trav.
Thank you.